it to pop up on Twitch. Everyone, and welcome to another episode of Smart Moves. I'm Setsuko, joined by my co-host Slicky. And today we're going to be doing our Warrior showcase for the Witchwood. But first up, we're going to talk about a couple of news items and have a little discussion about Warrior in general. So we got a couple of things. First, we're going to talk about this Noble Garden event. So logging in got you 2 golden cards, a golden egg napper and a golden devilsaur. I also thought, it was nice that last week showcased an egg priest going into Noble Garden. And that's about the only good thing I think I have to say. I'll go ahead and I thought this brawl was not fun. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I felt like it was bad. Maybe they spent too much time making new egg cards and bunnies and stuff, and didn't spend a lot of time thinking, well, is this actually going to be fun?
Yeah.
Because it's not. It's just cheap minions. If you draw the right RNG stuff, you're good. If you don't, then you lose.
And
It's
also, getting the rush die just seemed like, okay. I feel like the rush die was overpowered, especially in combination with the +2/+2 and
the
stuff like that.
+2/+2 to me, if you opened up a bunny and your opponent got a 3/3 with a +2/+2 on it, then you just lost.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
So not a big fan of this brawl. I appreciate the free, what was it, 140 dust or something like that, or 150,
nice.
something like that. So, that's fun. We also got our arena patch. Not a whole lot to mention about that one. I think we talked about it coming last time. It actually dropped this week, so they doubled the speed of Shudderwock's battle cry, limited the number of battle cries to 20, and doubled the speed of Life Drinker's battle cry animation. They also, for Arena, adjusted the appearance rate of some cards to try to even out the class win percentages and maybe bring Paladin down from the throne it's been on in all formats for however long, at least a month now. And that's pretty much it.
I'm at 5-1 now on my arena run. I'm playing as Warrior, and my last 3 matches, I think, were all against. Okay, yeah. So I beat a Rogue, beat a Warlock, beat a Priest. Then it's been Paladin, and I bet my next matches are all going to be Paladins.
Paladin. Maybe Rogue, because it's a good counter to Paladin.
Warrior is actually really strong. I think this class is kind of untapped right now.
With Bloodrazor.
Bloodrazor is really powerful, but the combination of weapons and now that Rush is a thing, you can just own the board early game.
Yeah.
And that will just win you the matches outright. So I think Warrior, if Paladin does start seeing a decrease in Spike Ridge Steeds, I think Warrior could probably be a close second.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So those are the changes that came this week, but we did get word that there are going to be some changes, some balance changes after the HCT playoffs. Those finish at the end of this month, so we're looking at June probably to get a balance patch. And we got a list of some of the cards and things that they were thinking about or they're looking at in order to potentially nerf these cards to make things playable. So there were 9 cards that they specifically pointed out. Sunkeeper Tarim and Call to Arms for Paladin.
Don't nerf these.
Warlock has 5 cards that they're looking at potentially. And obviously they're not going to nerf them all, but they're looking at Possessed Lackey, Blood Reaver Gul'dan, Dark Pact, Doomguard, and Kobold Librarian.
You shouldn't really nerf Doomguard, right? Shouldn't you just move that to Hall of Fame next of expansion or something?
Yeah, I think out of all these, I don't know. I think that Blood Reaver Gul'dan is good, But prior to the whole Possessed Lackey combo and stuff, it wasn't like ridiculously dominant. The hero power is really freaking strong.
Yeah.
But, I played it quite a bit prior to Cobalt and Catacombs coming out, and, you basically had to run a demon deck. And, you didn't have Void Lords and crazy cheating stuff to, get that really insane value, but you could still play a fun deck. So I would like to see Gul'dan not get nerfed. I don't play the Void Lord decks. So I don't really have an opinion on Possessed Lackey. I think Dark Pact is a ridiculous amount of healing, considering there are plenty of minions that you want to die or don't care about killing in Warlock.
Yeah.
And I really like Kobold Librarian. I mean, I think it's really strong, and it does. I don't know. To me, it does kind of seem like a one drop that might go in every Warlock deck. So maybe that does make it problematic.
Yeah. I think that really it's mostly Lackey. Just because you remember when everybody was saying how terrible Rim was, we were saying how terrible Rim was going to be.
Yeah.
That Ren wouldn't even be a problem if there wasn't this wall of stuff that they had that they could just do seals behind.
Yeah.
If they were actually taking the time and, trying to play against an actual board while they had this going on, you could just crush them. But because they're able to get out the Void Lord on turn 5 and then play Ren on turn 6, they're able to just do the seals, and then you lose because of that. So,
right, and then also like going like if you're playing against like a Void Lord, you just need to pressure them down. But when they have the Spellstone and Dark Pact to just get so much freaking healing back, that it might as well. It's like better than a Reno,
yeah.
Is what it feels like, and that doesn't feel great. I think.
Yeah, and it kind of maybe it's Void Lord itself. I'm kind of surprised they're not looking at Void Lord at all. But I feel like if it maintains the strength, that one of the things that happens is you have to, if you're going to play a control deck that can fight against this, you have to be running something that can not kill Void Lords. You have to play something that polymorphs them or hexes them or puts them back in the deck with Psychic Scream, because if they just play Gul'dan and they just get them back, then you're never going to be able to get to their face.
Yep.
And that's just really problematic.
Yeah. So they're also looking at Caverns Below for Rogue, because that has seen a resurgence popularity, but it also is still just a straight up polarized deck. Gets murdered by aggro and murders just about anything control based. And there are a lot of bounce effects, and now we have Sonya Shadow Dancer and what's her name? The Gorgon?
Zola.
Yeah. Zola and some other cards that are able to bounce and copy and get things back that have just really enabled that quest. And I've seen a lot of suggestions for nerfs. I think the one that I like the most is, changing the crystal core itself, so that it either it just does all minions in your hand and deck are 5/5, so that when you bounce them back, they're 1/1s again. Something along those lines. Or if you duplicate them, you just get a 1/1. Because it is a really weird mechanic that you don't really see anywhere else in the game. So
I wouldn't even mind if it was just minions in your deck, because then you're forcing them to draw after they finish. And that would be like, I know they have a lot of draw effects, but it would give you a couple turns to kind of stabilize against them. That would be pretty good, I think.
Mic on.
Yeah, I apologize if you see me throw the mic up. I'm dealing with a cold and don't want to cough into the mic, so they won't hear it. You'll hear it. They won't hear
it. Okay.
They're also looking at Spiteful Summoner for a neutral card as potentially getting a nerf. I got mixed feelings about that one, because I think Spiteful Summoner in Standard is really, really strong right now because there's a limited pool. of high cost minions compared to what there will be at the end of the year when we have a full 6 sets plus classic plus basic in. But it is still just a really strong card either way.
Yeah, I think one of the big problems with Spiteful Summoner isn't even Spiteful Summoner. I feel like it's that there are a lot of cards, and you can't just change all the cards, which I guess is why they have to change Spiteful Summoner. But there are a lot of cards you can play that aren't spells that win you tempo in the early game, and you have to play those cards to keep tempo. So like Cobalt Scalebane. Then priests have that 2/2 that the Shadow Ascendant or whatever it's called that gives other things buffs, and they just play 1 mana card, 2 mana card, 3 mana card that are constantly buffing each other, making each other strong. And the problem is you're trying to deal with all this stuff, and then they drop 14 worth of stats or something, and you lose because you've been dealing with all the other threats up until this point. I feel like you could even take Spiteful Summoner out, and those decks would still be really strong just because they're able to play tempo so well. It's just kind of a capstone. So I feel like that deck archetype, maybe some of those other cards like Cobalt Scalebane should not exist or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I hear you. I think Spiteful's much more of a crapshoot in Wild, but it's still. I mean, it doesn't feel bad to play a 6-mana 4/4 and get, you're looking at least an extra 3/3 of stats, which is not the best, but that's like a low roll.
Yeah. So. And then let's see. Did we talk about Call to Arms at all?
No, we didn't. I mentioned them, but we didn't talk about Sunkeeper Charm or Call to Arms.
Okay.
Really. Call to Arms. I mean, a common thing is like nerf it to 5 or 6, because it's so much value because you're drawing 3 cards and playing, 3 to 6 mana's worth of minions onto the board as well, and that's really powerful.
One thing I think I heard Cora say about Stan Sifka's suggestion, I think it was Stan Sifka, she thought it was, he said make it only 2-cost minions. So that way you can't get your Righteous Protectors. Like, if you've already drawn, like, you're either going to, like, have to shove a bunch of extra 2-cost minions in your deck, or, you're only going to get 1 or 2 minions. And that would nerf its power. It would make it a little bit weaker.
I don't know if they do that, though, because it seems like for the Recruit, they've made it fairly generic, except for on the Legendary. Or, Master Oakheart has a very specific Recruit cost, or not cost, in this case, it's attack. So I think it's unlikely they'll go that route, but I mean, it sounds like a good idea, because getting those Righteous Protectors is really frustrating. But I mean, it's still, you've got the Knife Juggler in there, which is, another problematic card. If it pulls out first, you just, recruit so many things. But
well, I think that the point of it is that if you've like drawn some of your 2 costs, you don't have your 1s to fall back on, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then Sunkeeper Tarum, I don't know what they would do to him other than, maybe either make him like an 8-mana, or maybe they could get rid of the taunt on him.
Maybe if he was a 3/6, it'd be a lot more manageable.
Yeah, that's true.
It's that 1 extra health that really makes him a pain in the ass, because then you're like, well,
trade
I got
3 things. Yeah.
Yeah. So that would nerf his strength some. This is one of those things again, like Spiteful Summoner. I don't feel like it's Sunkeeper Tarum that's the problem. It's the deck itself. It's the fact that they're able to generate so many small threats over and over and over and over that they're able to then use Sunkeeper with. I don't feel like it's Sunkeeper's fault. If it wasn't Sunkeeper, it would just be level up,
Yeah, because Sunkeeper was a strong card when he came out, but he's just got consistently more powerful the more stuff that's been able to make it onto the board. And that does bring up, there are 2 other changes. They're looking at the Odd Paladin Hero Power. Potentially either making it summon a 2/2 instead of 2 1/1s, so there's not as much swarm, or if they're going to keep the 2 1/1s, maybe changing them so that they're not Silverhand recruits, so that they don't have all the stacking Silverhand recruits synergies that are making them so strong right now.
I don't like that though, because if you do that, then like I don't know. In standard, there now that Sandy Gets Darkness is gone, I feel like if you're taking away their Silverhand recruit status, like kind of what's the point? Like just make it like a. I think a 2/2 is a better
Yeah,
idea.
I like 2/2 a little better as well. And then the last card they're looking at is Naga Sea Witch, because that's a big problem in Wild right now.
Yeah.
They don't really have anything. I think, making the Naga Sea Witch effect the way it used to be might be just an easy solution. Because currently, the way it used to work is with Naga Sea Witch, which, if you're not familiar with it, I will pull it up here in the library so you can take a look at this. So, Naga Sea Witch is a 5-mana 5/5 that says your cards cost 5. And it used to be that you played her and your cards just cost 5. And they changed it so that your cards would cost 5. And then if there was any mana discount, it would apply. So if you had like a Molten Giant and you had taken 5 damage by the time you put Naga Sea Witch out, instead of those giants costing 5 because they're of the Naga Sea Witch effect, they cost 5, then they get the 5 mana reduction from the damage you've taken, and they cost 0. So effectively, what people are able to do is just purposely take damage, sacrifice health, warlocks especially, or classes with weapons too, purposely take that damage, drop a Sea Witch, and then just play a bunch of giants onto the board because they're getting that discount. And that applies with, the other kinds of giants as well, because would have like a sea giant, which would cost 5, and then it would get the reduction for the other minions that are on the board, making it essentially free. So I think just putting it back to your cards cost 5 is a good way to deal with it, because then you don't have those insane combos, because you play Naga Sea Witch on 5 and you nothing, basically. That might make the card unusable, but I'm kind of okay with it.
I remember when the buff to Naga Sea Witch originally came out, and somebody tweeted to Mike Donay saying something like, Did you guys do this on purpose?" or something like that.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, that was totally intentional. Yeah, we planned on that." And as soon as people understood it, they just abused it really hard. But I don't play Wild, so I don't really encounter it that much.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's enough with the news.
Oh.
Now we're gonna. Oh yeah. Go ahead.
How was your month in review?
Well, I didn't get to play too much. Actually, I played more than I thought in April. I had what came out to at least a win a day. I think I got 30 or 31 ranked wins anyway, is what it was. But, I've been in the process of trying to buy a house and been sick and things like that. So there weren't any crazy notable stats. I had a pretty high win rate in Wild Casual with Warrior. But that was before we started doing these decks, right? So that was sometime last month. I don't even remember what I was playing, but, So, and how about yours?
Mine was pretty good. I think I got a 9-win streak in Wild. I think I was playing an Archbishop Benedictus deck. That was a lot of fun. So.
Yeah, I think I got 6, and it was with the variants on Egg Priest, which is pretty hilarious. But
nice.
Yeah. So, all right. So now we're gonna talk about Warrior, get into the meat of the show, and I'm pulling up a new deck here because we want to talk about Warrior in general before we showcase the decks. And I have something specific that I wanted to talk about with Warrior and kind of what we do on the show. So we've stated before that what we want to do is create decks that use the expansion cards and are at least moderately competitive. So when we were creating decks for Warrior, I think what we both kind of noticed is there was a lot of overlap. Like, generally, we don't try to copy each other's decks, not because they have to be unique. Usually Slicky does the standard and I do wild. But I think the big issue with Warrior in this expansion, at least in terms of trying to come up with new deck archetypes, is almost all their cards are rush cards.
Yeah.
And so that kind of, it's and what I think it is even if I had a particular idea about what I wanted to do with the deck and Slicky had an idea, if we wanted to use new cards, we were going to incorporate Rush somehow. And then when you start incorporating Rush, you want to incorporate more Rush. Like if you're going to put Militia Commander in there or the Wasp, then you kind of want to have Woodcutter's Axe. And then, Darius is a fun card to bring into the mix. And so what we did this time around is we just kind of said, hey, with the way the Warrior cards are in this expansion, it's going to be hard to have two distinctly different flavors of decks that use expansion cards. So I think Slicky has the more expansion-heavy deck to showcase today, and mine uses some of the new cards, but is not quite as Witchwoody as we typically try to make our decks. So I feel like because of that, I at least felt kind of limited in my deck building ideas if I was trying to incorporate the new expansion cards. And that's digging through neutrals and everything too. I was like, can I do a mech warrior? Can I do a dragon warrior? I was literally just going through every tribe, like, what can I do? And the only thing that kind of I was like, can I do beast warrior? that's I was looking at all kinds of stuff. So yeah, I've got a particular deck to showcase today. It won't be as heavily featuring the Witchwood cards, but that's okay because I believe Slicky's deck will be. So, did you have any thoughts, comments about your experience with creating your warrior deck and maybe some of the issues or kind of unknowns that you encountered?
Yeah. Well, so I
Mic
think
off.
I'm the one that pitched this, right? Playing warrior. This was my idea. Are you there,
Mic on.
Setsuko?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So I think this is my idea, right? To play warrior.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, I built a deck on like day one of the expansion that I really wanted to because warrior hadn't seen any play in so long. Using warrior cards, the new warrior cards, and it had actually gone through a lot of different iterations. And at the time, it was okay. It wasn't great. And then when we started saying that we were going to do a warrior deck a week ago, I started playing with it again. And at that time, at that spot in the local metagame, my deck was fantastic. I think I texted you like the next day, and I was like, dude, I think I got 9 wins, ranked ladder, like, it was like ranked 10 or something, but like 10 wins in a row using this warrior deck. So I think there is a lot of potential right now for warrior as a class, but it depends a lot on your local metagame. And I think some of the cards that they printed aren't properly supported. One of the earlier iterations I showed you, Tetsuko, was it involved Black House Spire. Isn't that what it's called? Black House Spire? Anyways, the cannon thing.
Gunspire.
Yeah. It had that in it. And then I realized that in Standard, there are some good AoEs and stuff, but it's really hard to play that card nowadays because it's hard to get it to stick for more than one turn. And the biggest value you have out of that card is that they spend time trying to remove it.
Yeah.
You can't play that and then play Warpath and get a bunch of damage on it.
No.
So because it's going to take 2 turns. So your opponent will do something to it. And it is strong against silence. But I ended up taking it out because I wasn't able to find a good way to make it work. I think there are some cards that I need to make Warrior a little better. Like I don't have Garrosh.
I don't
So
either.
that's a big one. And
I think for Gunspire, you have to kind of recruit it out to get really good value out of it.
Yeah, you can, but then it's like, okay, so am I gonna play the 6 mana recruit card? Or am I gonna play Master Oakheart, the 9 mana? I probably should have tried something with Master Oakheart and maybe put in some other high value stuff so they couldn't kill everything. But you're still devoting an entire turn to getting it out. And it's hard to get value off of it that way. Maybe Meat Wagon's the way to go. I don't know.
Yeah, I tried Meat Wagon with the Priest Egg deck, actually.
Yeah, I could see that. So maybe Meat Wagon Black House Fire will be a thing. But I had a lot of trouble getting that card to work, so I ended up taking that out. And originally the deck that I had was focused around Darius Crowley. But ran into some more trouble using him because of the metagame. Like,
yep, me
so if
too.
If I'm playing against Warlock, am I gonna run it into an 8/8 giant? Or if I'm playing against Paladin and they've just played Call to Arms on turn 4, am I going to kill one of their minions and then them have 2 more that they can do whatever with? Like if it had Wind Fury, I think it would be fantastic because then you could get a lot of value out of it in 1 turn. But usually you play it and you kill 1 minion and then it dies. So I was having a lot of trouble, maybe because of the metagame, maybe because it's just not a very good card. And a lot of the other stuff, the rush cards, Militia Commander's fantastic, but a lot of the other rush cards, you don't really get good trades out of them because of the way the metagame is right now.
Yeah.
So those were some of the issues I ran into when I was making my Warrior deck.
All right, but we have Warrior decks.
We do.
So,
yes. And
I don't think mine's horrible. So, let's go ahead and we will jump into my deck here. Go ahead and get rid of this one. All right, so my deck, popping up on the screen here. It's called Bloodmath. And this deck, like I said, doesn't feature too heavily with this expansion. I have a couple of cards. Oh, what do I have? Not a lot. I have Black Howl Gunspire.
Black Howl Gunspire. And is that it?
I think that's it. But
wow.
I have a lot of wild cards. So this is definitely a wild showcase for the deck. Now, I did have a couple of other cards in here when I started. Okay, I had Red Band Wasp. I took it out because I was using a different wild card. I was using Animated Berserker when I first started. And Animated Berserker into Red Band Wasp was actually not bad. Because you got a 1/3 on the board, and then you get a 4/2 with Rush. That's pretty good, especially if you're against like a Northshire Cleric or something like that. I had Warpath, but ultimately, why play Warpath when you have things like, this guy, Ravaging Ghoul? There were just better ways to get the Whirlwind effect without playing Warpath over and over again. And I did have Darius Crowley, but he didn't really fit the theme of the deck. I kind of threw him in there because I was like, he can charge out, he can get damaged, he can get buffed up, he can trigger all the other cards, and that's great. So I had a bunch of these cards in there, and they just made the deck a lot worse. So I had to take most of them out, and then also there was the fact that, like we said, there was the overlap with, a lot of these cards being rush themed, and you had been playing that type of deck from the get-go, and pretty much the only other current expansion type deck that I really wanted to showcase would have been Odd Taunt Quest Warrior or Odd Quest Warrior, and that's a popular deck that's fairly well known, and I'm like pretty positive you've seen it somewhere else. So I didn't want to do that one, and I had already played that one at the start of the expansion, and it's good, but it's it's not the most exciting, I guess. So instead, I came up with this deck because I have always been about Axe Flinger. It's a card that never got played much. I love it. I think it's awesome. So I was like, I want to make an Axe Flinger deck. So that's what I did. And the process for this, for me, kind of went from, okay, put a bunch of cool damage synergy stuff in there to a point that I'm starting to realize in deck building in general, I think, for my style of deck building is I need more card draw. A lot of these synergies and things, they don't work if you don't have the cards in your hand to get those synergies going. And this one especially, because if you're just playing a card out, then playing another card out, then playing another card out, a lot of times you don't hit your synergies. They kill your Acolyte of Pain, and then what do? Drop a Ravaging Ghoul into nothing. So there are 3 parts to this deck. You've got the things that get buffed by damage, or you've got your Armor Smiths, Acolyte of Pain, Frothing Berserker, your Axe Flingers, and your Black Howl Gunspire. You've got the triggers for those. I've got 1 Blood to Ichor. It's a good early game kind of just, nice, hit your Acolyte with that, or, hit your Armor Smith with that, and that's great. You got your Cruel Taskmaster, Slam, Ravaging Ghoul, Blood Razor, and then you've got Garrosh with his hero power. And then you need your removals and your finishers, and that's where stuff like Execute, all your Whirlwind effects, your Brawl, your Leroy, your Crush, and then your weapon with Garrosh all kind of play into that removal stuff. There are a couple. One other tech choice was 1 Fungal Enchanter. Just because sometimes being able to get your board going when you're playing against a class with a ping or an AoE, and being able to drop this guy and like buff your stuff up by 2 health kind of out of the range that they may have tried to account for is pretty strong. You've got a Frothing Berserker with 1 health, and you can get it back up to 3 against a mage. It's pretty good. So my experiences with this deck have been mixed. I'd say like 66, 2 out of 3 games I've won. But one of those 2 has been like skin of my teeth kind of wins. So we'll see how it does. All right. Make sure we covered everything there. All right.
So what is kind of your... Is this, would you say this is a control deck?
I think it's kind of mid-rangey.
Mid-rangey? Okay.
Yeah. Like, because you're not playing aggro, you're not really playing control. Like, you kind of are, but you're trying to put down minions every turn that you get a lot of value out of, and then sort of combo them together, but you don't have a big specific combo that wins you the game. That's why the finishers are in there, like Garrosh's weapon can go face, or I have Leroy. The reason I have Leroy is because I don't have Grommash. Otherwise, I might put him in there instead.
Yeah, I wish I had Grommash as well. One day, he's a classic card. Sooner or later I'll pull him, but I just got Velen. So.
Nice. This deck usually does pretty well against Paladin because there's so many Whirlwind effects in here.
Cannabis 4 Iceland.
Mage is kind of a pain just because of Polymorph. It can kind of just shut down a lot of your effects. Against Mage, I will sometimes keep a Crush just because if they put out like a Water Elemental or something like that, a bigger minion, it can be really hard for me to get it off the board without sacrificing all my face damage. So I'm going to hang on to a Crush here. Try to get some early game. Alright, that's not horrible. Well, that's even better.
Job's done.
Crush is such a silly strong card. It's really sad it had to leave.
Alright, so they're going to have a bunch of spells, and they're probably just going to wreck me. They're going to generate AoEs, they're going to generate, you know, polymorph effects and secrets and stuff, so...
I think you can win this one. I think you have enough base damage that you can just keep whittling away at them.
As long as they don't play too board-centric, like, this is okay.
No, I mean, it's Exodia Mage, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. So I'm going to drop Acolyte here. It's okay to get just one draw out of Acolyte. Obviously, we'd rather get more, but if they Frostbolt this or something, alright.
You want to cast a spell? I want to cast a spell.
An incredible discovery!
And I'm not too worried about these 1 damage pings, because I just have so many ways to get rid of them. And I'm probably just going to Blood Razor here.
Are you going to attack with the Acolyte first to draw an extra card, or no?
No. Because I think I want to keep the 2 health.
Okay.
Because then I can put down like a frothing and get a point for the frothing. So... like, the card draw is important, but I have a lot of it.
Right. I was just curious. In this matchup, it often comes down to outdrawing the mage.
Alright. So, I'm going to check for that secret with Novice.
It's probably Ice Block or Ice Barrier, I would
I
think.
hope you like my invention.
Oh, it was not.
Alright.
Babbling Book.
And we're going to go ahead. I don't really care about the sheep, so I am going to go face here.
Hammer time.
That's a big Berserker. So now he's got to blow up the board.
Which he probably can.
Yeah.
Frost
But he can only
Novas
do it
are
till he's done
also...
it.
yeah, Frost Novas are also annoying.
So, do you think you're going to end up dropping Black Pal on curve, or are you going to, like, hold on to it, or...
Since I've got 2 Ravaging Ghouls, I might wait till turn 10 and, like, Black Owl Ravaging Ghoul. Alright.
So he's not worried about you at all.
So, I think we're going to...
Bring pain.
I want
You do
to...
have Crush, so...
I do... well, I'm worried about board clears, is mainly what I'm
Yeah,
worried about.
I'm thinking, like, Frost Nova Doomsayer, so Crush can kind of get you out of that.
But I'm going to go for a big hit here.
You don't quite have lethal, but you're getting close.
This is a pretty easy board clear for Mage, though. Yep.
Oh.
But that's fine.
Are you ready to fling?
I am. I just got to figure out how I want to do it. I think I'm going to Axe Flinger. Yeah. I'm going to Axe Flinger, Blood to Ichor. Let's see, on turn 8, I could play Garrosh for face damage. Which I think I'm probably going to want to do, because then I can get extra value out of the Axe Flinger if he doesn't kill it. So I think I am going to Cruel Taskmaster here.
Okay.
I could save it till the next turn, but I think I'd I'm leaning towards being aggressive for this match.
Yeah, I think you need to be. You gotta pop him soon.
Because this could give me 8, 9, 10. This could give me lethal this turn if he doesn't kill anything. Frost
Nice
Nova?
block.
Frost.
You're right.
Yep. But that's okay. I'll get 8 damage. 8 damage here? No. Just, I almost just want to play Ravaging Ghoul.
He's not. Yeah, I mean, I guess you can. I'm just curious though, like because they don't actually try to ever do face damage. What you're going to lose if you play Ravaging Ghoul, or if you don't, is he's
that's
going
my
to trade with
Black
your
Owl.
2/2s or your Axe Flinger, and that's going to be it. You're not like in any danger from him having those. But
Well, if I play Ravaging,
Maybe.
it kills off his stuff. It gives me a tick on this, and then I can get. As opposed to if I play Garrosh, I get no tick off
yeah,
this guy.
I'm just curious if he's going to play Blizzard next turn, which will clear everything except Ravaging.
Yeah.
So many choices.
Yeah, I think. I'm gonna do it.
Let's do it! Do it!
This also gives me a little more armor for when I go into Garrosh here. I mean, you could just have a Flame Strike, and at that point, it's like, eh.
Yeah. Cabal is telling you never know. Flame Cannon. Oh yes, it's wild.
Okay. So I still have lethal right now.
I don't know what's up with this guy. There it is. I was like, is he not running Ice Block? He's like, there's a very specific set of cards you run when you're playing this deck. You gotta have 2 Ice Block, 2 Frost Novas, 2 Doomsayers,
All right,
2 Blizzards.
if I want to pop this, I want 4 damage. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think there's a good way to pop this right now.
No, you could Garrosh and have him at 2.
Yeah,
And then
I think
freeze your
that's
fist.
the way to do it here. Because then I'll have the whirlwind effect for the Gunspire.
Yeah. I think that's really the trick in this matchup is like he can't really stop your Gunspire. So he's gonna lose Ice Blocks to it.
Well, does he have? That's probably another ice block
Yeah.
or ice barrier.
Maybe both. Uh-oh. Looks like he's out of options.
All right. Well, let's check. All right. This way, if he does an AoE, it kills him on his turn.
Yeah.
I think I'm okay. Do I want to? Nah.
I feel like he's about to give up. Unless he can pull something magical out of his butthole.
A Reno. That'd be. Yeah. Yeah, you wouldn't play Exodia with 1 ice block.
No, he's gonna go ahead and try and do the whole combo.
Just like you.
Draw into it.
Someday I'll be just like you.
All right.
Someday I'll be just like you.
Does he have it?
Come on, Cannabis 4i20. You can do it. I think he's looking for AI. I don't think he's got Archmage. Or at the very least, like a Frost Nova or something.
Happy Noble Garden.
Oh, he got it. He got it.
Happy Noble Garden.
Oh, look at that. He's BMing me. Goodness. You're getting served right now. Bet you've never seen this combo before, have you?
Nope.
Happy Noble Garden. Time runs out on me.
Can I beat him?
Happy Noble
Can the
Garden.
clock beat him? Nah, probably not.
No, I don't think so.
Tear you apart.
His magic's gonna tear you apart.
Oh, come on, come on. Nah, he got it.
Oh, he got it. You know, I don't feel like we can judge your deck based off of that matchup. So if you want to play another one, that's fine. Because that's such a polarizing matchup, you know.
No, I mean, I think it showcased what the deck does. I mean,
It
that's
does, it does.
that's pretty
It's
much
just-
how it goes.
Yeah, but their way they play is different than any other deck. They don't focus on trading. They don't focus on going face. They just focus on
Finding the
pulling
combo.
their combo. So it's less interactive, is all I'm saying.
All right, we'll key one more up. In Wild Casual, you have a pretty strong chance of facing the exact same opponent, though.
Well, this is wild ranked.
Oh, yeah, it is, because my rank is garbage right now. So I don't care. All right. Hold on, I didn't need those crushes against Exodia Mage. Might need one against this guy. Alright, definitely don't want Leroy. I'll keep a Ravaging. I don't want a Frothing, because if I drop Frothing early, it usually just gets hexed or something.
There's so many adjectives for all these people. You ever notice that? Is it just a warrior thing? Cruel, ravaging, fungal.
Job's done.
Maybe. I need a good 2-drop that I can use this Blood Decker on. And didn't get it. So we armor up. I could play Taskmaster for tempo, but eh.
What deck do you think this guy's playing? What's your guess?
I have no idea since it's wild.
Probably Shutterwalk, right?
Ugh. Okay. Kind of want to just Blood to Ichor here. Yeah, I don't want to waste my Ravaging Ghoul.
Job's done.
Got none of my cards.
How long can this go on? How long can this go on?
Okay. Just gonna Blood Razor, clear the board. Still
I
not
remember when
drawing
Blood
anything.
Razor came out, and I didn't understand it. I was like, oh, is this a good card? And you were like, oh yeah.
All right,
this is a
some
good
kind
card.
of jade.
Okay, so let's see. JD McJadel deck. There's a Jade deck that was running a while back.
Let's see.
Probably got some evolves in there.
I don't want to. I was gonna Taskmaster, but I don't want to Taskmaster into Unstable Portal.
Maelstrom Portal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Maelstrom Portal. I mean, I could though.
So many choices.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a big loss.
To work.
So you turn 5, you might. Nah, probably won't. And do
Well,
a
turn
full-
6, I can fungal into Ravaging Ghoul and get a lot
Turn
of value.
6, he's probably gonna do Doppelgangster and do Evolve.
I'll take it, dude. I'll take it. Do I want to slam execute trade? Oh, let's slam. Yeah. Just kill him.
Ooh.
Guess what? I don't care about that. Okay. So I could Axe Flinger Ravaging Ghoul. I could trade double Ravaging Ghoul. I could Fungalmancer. But if I Fungalmancer, he's just going to kill my Acolyte with his 5/5 anyway. So that seems bad. So what do you think? Trade double Ravaging? No, that seems like a waste.
I think we rampage.
Yeah?
I don't know. I'm just saying. You're not really in danger of anything. For all I care, you could just develop the Axe Flinger and something else too. It doesn't really matter. He's not about to kill you.
I could Fungal into Axe Flinger.
Yeah.
And see whether he wants me to draw cards or Axe Fling his face. Kind of keeps me safe from some AoE, I think.
Yeah. Volcano into Axe Flinger would not be a good move.
What are you doing to my Axe Flinger, man?
Okay, so he's grumbling.
Okay. And I'm not worried about Grumble.
Okay.
I could Garrosh here.
It would be good to have that hero power online.
It would, but then what am I left with? Like, I can get rid of Grumble, and he'll have 1 health left over.
Maybe.
I don't think you can really do that much because you can't use Crush this turn.
Yeah. But I could double Ravaging Ghoul, and that gets rid of his Loatheb, but I'd rather get rid of the Grumble, right? I think so. I mean, if he trades with my Axe Flinger, I still get, you know, damage off of that.
The thing I'm most worried about is that he has some sort of weapon removal. I think that could be kind of bad.
I must choose.
It can be.
Fling. Oh,
Oh, Shudderwalk.
he's a Shudderwalk! He's doing a homebrew wild Shudderwalk deck.
Alright, well. I think I'd just kill his shit and get some stuff on the board.
Yeah. I think a good way you could probably beat Shudderwalk is just having tons of armor.
Yeah.
Made to
I like using the Rampage for burst. It's like as soon as you Rampage something, they kill it.
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna hang on to him.
It doesn't seem like he's got that many spells. Like, he's not very control
Gold's
focused.
our girl's best friend.
Alright, I need to start just ignoring his Jades, I think.
such a perfect specimen.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not really a good way to deal with, Okay, so you could, what is that, Leroy Blade Flurry Rampage and do how much damage? Like 9?
Yeah. Alright. Do I want to Rampage the Armor Smith? I think so.
I think you should probably mostly clear his board this turn, so there's a chance that Leroy stays alive. I mean?
Strike.
Oh, I was thinking just using the weapon, but it's cool.
Oh, gotcha. All right.
So it looks pretty good, pretty close there.
Hex.
Well, now we know.
Golems are a girl's best friend.
All right. Just trying to draw into something here.
I hope you like my invention.
Ah, it's not looking good.
No, but I mean, this matchup. I feel like it's going pretty fair. Like, you know, depending on how each of you draw, like this match could go either way.
I think I get rid of his 5/4. Does he
Yeah.
He can't kill off Aya.
Yeah, I'll leave him to summoning sickness, even if he does.
I need my brawl.
I do like this interaction he did, though. I think it's kind of cool using Shutterwalk and Grumble to just summon a ton of Jades. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Are a girl's best friend.
Okay, I think you aren't going to win.
Yeah.
Just like throwing that out there.
I think I lost this one. Only a little bit. Let's see.
Armor made to fit.
I need some
Yeah.
armor.
Do you wanna X-Flinger first?
If
Maybe?
you're sure.
I could. Yeah.
Ready to
It's not gonna
flee.
make a difference.
No, it's not.
If you're sure.
Woo.
But yeah,
Job done.
just draw an ice block. You'll be fine.
All right. All right. Oh,
Okay.
Shutterwalk.
Well, I like your deck. I also like his deck. Yeah, I think that was kind of a bad matchup for you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, infinitely spawning golems against a deck that essentially does 1 damage over and over again is it's kind of bad. So,
Yeah.
all right, well, that's my warrior deck. So let's hop in and check it out one more time. Do you have any suggestions?
Yes, I do. Now, I like your deck, but I feel like, you know, you said you got, you know, like Leroy and Black Hound stuff as closers.
Not the Black Owl. It's mainly Leroy and Garrosh that are kind
Yeah.
of the closers.
I feel like you might want like one more kind of big value generating card. Like Ysera or Lich King, because that's a problem I also ran into. Is like late game, if I lose Leroy, or you know, I didn't have Leroy, but if I lose like my main guys, then I kind of run out of value. You know what I mean?
Well, and if you saw those games, I got 0 value out of Gunspire.
Yeah.
So, but it's literally the only expansion card I have in there, and so it's like that's probably the one I would cut for like a Grommash if I had it, or you know something.
I like Rampage, but I feel like it's one of those cards that's really good if you have control of the board. So
yeah. And the reason that I took out the animated Berserker and some of the other cards is because, like, you want to damage your own minions, but you kind of want to do it on your own terms, and so...
you don't want to drop it.
Yeah, so... Yeah, I was thinking, looking at this, you know, if I were to cut things out, it would probably be Rampage.
I like Cruel Taskmaster because it's a 2-drop you can drop on 2, and I think your deck definitely needs like some tempo kind of plays like that. So if you could put in there, I'd like to see maybe like the Axe, even though you don't really have any rush minions, you know, just to have a way to control the board in the early game.
Yeah,
Bouncing Blade, I know you don't like that card, but if you're gonna do Blackout Gunspire, it's a good option.
yeah. I think honestly, like, if it weren't for the stream, I probably would have cut Blackout Gunspire. And yeah, I would have had
Slam,
literally no expansion cards. So it's, you know,
I'm not sure if I would keep Slam instead of Battle Rage.
yeah. The reason that
Because-
I had Slam instead of Battle Rage is because Slam is a way that I could activate my own minions. And the reason I think I had it in there is mostly because of like the Gunspire, but the 2 damage instead of 1 damage does kind of bother me. But
Yeah.
my deck does need card draw. And like there isn't a ton of great card draw in Warrior that fits with the theme in the deck. I mean, Battle Rage is there, but if I can't draw into the minions to put them onto the board to get them damaged, then Battle Rage kind of sucks.
Right.
So I thought about Cold Light, but I don't want to give my opponent the advantage there either.
Yeah.
So
I think mainly I would either like kind of change some stuff around to make it kind of control the board in the early game so that my late game stuff does work out, or have like maybe another brawl or something in there so I can drop things like Blackout Gunspire late game and have the board.
Yeah.
But I like the general theme of it.
I could see pretty easily cutting a Rampage for a second brawl.
Yeah.
And maybe
Because
cutting a
I
second
wouldn't have
Rampage
won
for
you
like
that
a
last game,
Grommash.
but it would have been a little bit closer.
Yeah, and if I had drawn the brawl, you know, if I had a higher chance to draw it, then that would have, yeah, it definitely would have helped. All right, so as far as epics and legendaries go, there aren't a whole lot of them in here actually. Brawls, obviously you need board clears. Some other ones you could consider, but I don't necessarily recommend. You could do Sleep with the Fishes, but that will damage your own stuff. You could do... oh, goodness. Forget the name right now. You could do Warpath as a later game. Clear things up. Any other AoE kind of board removal suggestions?
There is actually a card that I almost included in my deck. It is epic, but if you have it, you might want to try it out. Is Worgen Abomination is actually a good fit for this kind of deck. It's basically like Sleep with the Fishes, but with a body.
Yep.
So it's not a bad one to include in a deck like this.
Leroy, the thing with Leroy is, like, I played a few matches early on where, like, I got them down to, like, 3 health. And I just kept drawing and nothing could finish them. So the purpose of having Leroy in there is just to have some burst damage for those times when you just need to draw into something that can hit face. So I would do something similar. It doesn't necessarily have to be a minion. There are some warrior cards like Mortal Strike. You know, that's face damage you could put in there. You could put in a different charge minion. You know,
What about Arcanite Reaper?
Yep. Just anything to help you, like, push that little bit of extra damage. So you're looking at face damage spells, weapons, charge minions, like that kind of stuff. Because it's pretty easy to get things low, but the thing about damaging your own minions is they're easier for your opponent to clear. So, you know, getting those big frothing berserker swings is awesome. But if you're a few points off and you can't draw and set up another board, you know, combo a good state like that, then you need something to push that damage face.
Right.
Blackout Gunspire, like you can just chuck that and get something else. Honestly,
I'm so sad about that card. I really am.
I mean, I straight up would, like, if I had Grommash, I would just take this out and put Grommash in. Easy.
You know what would be cool is like there's that new card or boss you play against in the Monster Hunt it's like deal 1 damage to a minion, then do it 4 more times. if
Oh,
Warrior had a card like that that you could queue onto Black Hell Gunspire, that would be awesome.
Yep.
But,
Scourgelord Garrosh, if you didn't have him, put like another weapon or some whirlwinds in. You either want the whirlwind effects or you want the weapon to go face. This is just a nice combination of the two. And then for Crush, Crush is a really good removal in this deck because you always have damaged minions. But Crush is like you're looking for a targeted removal that can get rid of a pesky minion that you normally can't get rid of. So you could go for like it's another epic card, but you could do a Gore Howl if you have that instead.
could you do Voodoo Doll?
You could do Voodoo Dolls. That's an easy one. Bash, Mortal Strike, anything where you can point something at something on the board and kill it. That's kind of the goal with the Crush there.
Yeah, Voodoo Doll would be pretty slick in this deck just because you have so many ways to activate it.
Yep. So
I actually just got my first one today, so I might put him in my deck.
But yeah, that's our suggestions for ways to update the deck, and that's Bloodmath, which I think I think I'm getting good at naming decks. Like Drake Hunter was a little boring, but I'm getting there. I like it. So that brings us to your deck, and the first thing I need you to explain is what the hell is his name? G's down, armor up. What are G's? Giraffes? Gangsters?
Yeah, when I was
you got some mean streets in here?
18 and I was working at Sony, there was this girl that was talking about some ecstasy that she was going to get, and it was called G's Up, Hose Down. And I was thinking, like, well, what do warriors do? They armor up and stuff, and I was like, armor up, G's down, armor up. Yeah. So it's just something I came up with. So one thing you could do for me that would be pretty cool is if you could show one of your, like one of the earlier iterations I had. Do you still have that pulled up? And if not, I can look at it myself.
I don't. You could send me a code real quick.
Give me just a second. I just kind of want to briefly talk about some of the earlier things I had going on with this. Originally, this was going to be, like you said, it was going to be a rush deck, and kind of a damage to minions deck. And then it ended up a lot different, because I started seeing that some of the cards were just working out better than others, and a lot of it was the meta game. And so, all my things being weird. Okay, so let me see. I went through versions.
Because I know you started with some Rush Warrior type stuff from Witchwood. And you had like some recruit cards and some other things in there, and they weren't working out because you would like recruit out your militia commander, and that's just bad.
Yeah. But I want to say that this is like my 25th or 26th different version of this deck. So yeah, I've got it pulled up in front of me right now.
All right, toss me the code on Battle.net. We'll pop it up here.
Okay, let me. Oh, your name's in the way. Oh, Mr. Crowley. Here we go. Okay. So yeah, this is version 2.11. I think it's okay. It looks like it's the 13th version. So I'll show you kind of like Geosculptor 2. Worgen Abomination 1.1.
This is like me with the priest decks, where I literally did like 20 plus priest decks trying to come up with something, and I was just like, I don't know, and eventually settled on eggs, which was a pretty fun idea. So.
Okay, yeah, this will work if I can pull up the code here. Let's not worry about it. Anyways, so I had like Black Hell Gunspire in here. That wasn't working out. So do you have the other one up right in front of you right now?
I've got your current one up.
Yeah, my current one.
Yep.
So like, I changed this a lot, and at one point I got rid of Red Band Wasp. I had like 2 Woodcutter's Axe, 2 Blood Razors. I was running Forge of Souls. It was really focused on the early game, and then I tried to capitalize on some of the later game cards that were winning me the games by getting rid of some of the early game stuff, and then I just started losing over and over and over, and I went down to like a 25% win rate or something crazy like that. So I ended up putting that stuff back in because I didn't realize at the time how pivotal it was to have those early games to even make the game work. But nowadays, it's got Warpath, it's got Woodcutter's Axe, all this stuff to control the early game, and then once you have the early game sufficiently controlled, you move into kind of an armor building state where you're dropping Armor Smith a little bit later in the game, build up some armor, and then drop Geosculptor Yip as kind of your closer. And a surprisingly good card that works with this is Sudden Genesis. It's kind of a win more card, but if you can get that one tick off on even just like a Gem-Studded Golem, and pull up a second Gem-Studded Golem, 2 Lich Kings, 2 Frothing Berserkers, it becomes really tough for them to deal with your board. Even like a Militia Commander, you can pop out another minion with Rush immediately and just start dealing tons and tons and tons of damage. But really in the early game, you want to focus on drawing into your late game stuff while controlling the board as much as you can. And then like you want to play the Gem-Studded Golems, maybe Lich King before Geosculptor Yip, let them kind of exhaust themselves of removal, and then drop Yip and close it out. Okay. So I went from having, like I said, like a 25% to, in the past day, I think I brought it up to 55 around there on ladder. So it's not a bad deck. I think it's feasible, and I'll go ahead and play one on the ranked, and I'll get my ass kicked. I'll prove myself wrong really quickly.
Yep, let me get your deck up there. There we go. Yeah, so just to point out real quick while you're queuing that up, like I had Battle Rage, I had Red Band Wasp, Warpath, Woodcutter's Axe, and I had Sudden Genesis in the earlier iterations of my deck as well, and kind of went a different direction of, focus on all those kind of value cards off of the damage. So I'm queuing up the Spectate now.
So I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of Warpath. Warpath's a really good like late game clear everything sort of thing. Armor Smith is best to drop just on the turn when you're gonna gain a ton of armor, or once you already have an established board. You don't really want to fight for board with it.
Do you want a Spellstone?
What's that?
Do you want to have a Spellstone in hand a lot of times?
Did the version I sent you, does it have a Spellstone?
Oh no, sorry. You're talking. I got that confused with the Mithril, or the statue. So no, that's my bad.
Yeah. Okay, so this is aggro. Warlock probably gonna lose because it's got some Zulok. It's got some beefier minions. What we really want is Brawl, or any kind of like early game stuff that we didn't get would be nice. But we'll see how it goes.
Woo! Yeah, this is this is gonna be mean. Oh, there. So Woodcutter's
Axe. We got an axe. That's nice. So I'll go ahead and point out Militia Commander next turn so we can get some value on the board.
Yeah.
Keep clearing as best we can. Good news is,
especially with that on the board.
Yeah. Good news is he didn't draw Prince Keliseth apparently. So.
Yeah, I think coin commander into that fledgling is that's gonna do some work for you.
So he'll probably try to soulfire that or something to go ahead and get rid of it because he doesn't want to fight for the board. He just wants to have it.
Yeah, I think this this definitely establishes the board a little bit for you though, which is good. Okay, he doesn't care. Are we playing against Hunter? Just all face. Alright, what are we thinking here?
I want to keep building value. I can't just So I'm gonna go ahead and drop Frothing. And I'm gonna force him to like double trade or something. I don't want to trade with the flame up because he's just going to keep getting more and more value. It does suck to take that 3 damage to the face again, but hopefully, see, we have him trade instead of trading ourselves.
Okay. And you got the... Oh, you got the 5/5 golem armor.
Mhm. Too bad we have to wait a turn for that. So we got Acolyte. I think I'm just going to go ahead and play it. I doubt he has that many more 1 health minions.
Yeah.
And next turn we might have to execute his imp because he's probably going to his little 1/1 into a 4/1. But we'll see how it goes.
Why do you call?
Speak your peace.
He's gonna go face.
Yeah, that's okay.
Do you Spellbreaker here? Or do you...
I'm considering it. Ooh, Battle Rage. That's pretty sexy, huh?
Yeah, if you could Battle Rage into another Whirlwind.
Yeah, there's a decent chance I can get a Warpath, which would just... Yeah, I don't think it would win me the game, because sooner or later he's going to get, like... Ooh.
Stonehill.
I thought I drew Blood Rage. Oh, that's too bad. Okay, I think I want to go ahead and Militia Commander
Defend the gates.
just clear everything he's got right here. So, okay, so we got Armor Smith, so we can get just...
Unleash me.
Oh, he's gonna keep it up for me. It's fine. Shield. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. I can kind of force him to expend some resources he doesn't want to expend yet by playing Stonehill and Frothing Berserker, maybe? Actually, I think I want to go with Armor Smith.
We'll see what you get off the Stonehill if you're gonna play it.
Yeah. I might just want something small. Yeah, let's do Wax Elemental. That seems good. And we might be able to set up like a counter lethal right here. Warpath would be really nice, but it doesn't look like we're gonna get it yet.
Oh, he's getting himself down. He's probably looking for a removal.
Yeah.
That's a firm execute target or a silence. Would you execute that or silence it, you think?
I think I would execute because even if I silence it, it's still 4 damage on the board.
Okay. Well,
And also, we're getting to the point where, yeah, we might have that counter lethal set up here in a minute.
yeah, you just gotta have a way to ping that guy for the damage.
Yeah, if I can draw 1 Warpath, we've got this.
So many possibilities.
Even a Blood Razor would probably seal the deal. And I've got 2 Blood Razors and 2 Warpaths. I've got a 1 in 3 chance, basically, of just winning right now. There we go. So, I'm just gonna... Let's see. No, I don't want to do this wrong, so... I need to Warpath.
One
Execute.
Warpath, execute.
And I think that's game.
Yeah.
But, let's go ahead.
Just in case.
Just to rub it in a little bit, just in case. And that's game.
Well,
It's too bad you didn't get to see Geosculptor Yip in action, but really, that card is mainly for the long value players. You don't really need it if you're playing against aggro. In that case, you're looking for your small removal and then whatever you can get to stick on the board.
all right. So let's hop back in. And as far as suggestions that I might have, I guess my main question here, we didn't get to see the top end of the deck, and that's okay because the bottom end worked so well. I think my main question is there's a lot of one-ofs. Do you think that my thing with one-ofs is, I feel like they need to be either pretty swingy or have a very specific purpose. So I'm kind of wondering, like, what do you think about the fact that you've got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can't tell if these are one-ofs or not.
They are.
Up here at the top.
Yeah.
So what do you think as far as all the one-ofs? Like, do you think it makes your deck less consistent? Or do you feel like you need those different tools in there to pop up randomly?
I don't think it makes it less consistent because a lot of what those are is like Shield Slam is essentially just an execute.
Okay.
But I want like maybe 3 executes instead of just 2. Like one more sometimes does push it over the limit.
Okay.
And I want a little bit more consistency, but not necessarily that much more. I picked Whirlwind because, like, maybe I want a trigger for Sudden Genesis, or I want it as a trigger for Armorsmith, but I don't want to invest in playing Warpath a bunch of times.
Warpath.
Yeah, because
Yep.
Warpath's big value is that it can be played multiple times, and you're only expending 1 card.
Yeah.
So you don't want to just chuck it out when you could just use a Whirlwind, but that doesn't come up all the time. Maybe I want just a trigger for Battle Rage. So it's much like the Spellbreaker. It's kind of like it's there for if I need it. You got the thing in front of it, so I can't see.
Oh, there you go.
Woodcutter's Axe, Red Band Wasp. It's really, I know it looks like 2 cards, and it is, but it's really like I wanted 2 things that would help me control the early board.
Yeah.
So I didn't really want to pick one or the other because they're both good, but kind of in different situations. I think you probably ran into the problem sometimes with Red Band Wasp, where you are playing against a guy who plays like a 1/3 or something, and you can't clear it. Sometimes Red Band Wasp just sucks.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need to trigger it with like Whirlwind or something. That's the way it's best, is that you have something to trigger it with. But once again, I don't.
They put down they put down a 2/2, and you could run into it, but then they just trade with it, and it's like, well, what the hell was the point of playing that anyway?
Right.
So
So a lot of these things are just kind of they're just kind of contingencies.
Yeah.
So,
and you don't think that drawing them kind of less consistently makes that big of a difference? Because you're saying in some cases Red Band Wasp sucks. Well, what if you draw it when it sucks? You don't draw it when it, would be good. Is that kind of okay for this deck? Like, as opposed to having double the chance of getting the Red Band Wasp? Because I think I get what you're saying. Like in this scenario, drawing the Red Band Wasp is just as good as drawing the Woodcutter's Axe the majority of the time. So either one, you have that same chance to draw one of those cards, and that's okay because you're not specifically looking, for example, to always get Woodcutter's Axe so that you can combo it into a rush minion. So that kind of...
Yeah, this isn't... these cards aren't like Spellbreaker all the time in the sense where I want it for this one particular instance. They all synergize with each other. If they didn't synergize, if like one of them kind of stuck out, then yeah, that might be an issue. Brawl is one of those situations where, because I have Warpath, I often don't need it. But if the scenario comes up, most of the time, because I have Battle Rage and Acolyte, I used to have Shield Block in here, but but there is a fair bit of draw. You can normally get whatever you need.
Yeah, if you're not slamming this over to wild and facing a bunch of jade golems, then yeah, maybe your warpaths do the trick. All right, and then as far as some of these epics and legendaries go, so Shield
Yeah.
Slam, you said that's another execute. Could you use a Voodoo Doll? It's a little more expensive, but
Yeah, you
Yeah.
could if you wanted to. Yeah, sure. I don't see why not.
I mean, Voodoo Doll, especially in a deck where you consistently deal 1 damage, is nice. And
Yeah.
we talked about some alternatives for Brawl. They're probably a little bit different in Standard. Does anything pop out to you? Like you said, you may or may not need the Brawl all the time anyway, but...
Some people run Reckless Flurry, but I don't like it because of Geosculptor Yip. You're just throwing away a ton of value.
Yeah, but I mean, if that's what you got, then what about Bladed Gauntlet instead of like a?
It's a card I don't have, and it's also an epic.
Oh, it's an epic as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got it on my list of cards you could put in there. But the big thing about Geosculptor is if you drop it, you want at least one other 6 mana plus minion to come out with it. You don't want to just get a Wisp on it.
Yeah.
So some of the suggestions I have for epics and stuff, Sudden Genesis, anything that gives you a little bit more card draw is always useful. So like I said, I was running Shield Block. And if you're having trouble in the late game, I would put in maybe another Wasp, another Woodcutter's Axe. If you do decide to bundle up on the Wasps and the Woodcutter's Axes, Forge of Souls is excellent in this deck. It just makes your draw so much better and helps you control the early game, and I think it's a common.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's a really strong card to put in there. Or if you're focusing on more of the late game, I wish I had Elise, but I don't. That would be nice to put in there. If you're running into a lot in your local metagame of Warlocks and stuff, Dead Man's Hand is actually... I was doing a one-of just to have something to stick back in my deck after they would blow my deck up.
I also tried Dead Man's Hand in one of my decks where I was trying to recruit things out that could be damaged and stuff, like recruit out the Axe Flingers and things, and being able to shuffle those back into the deck was pretty nice. So.
Yeah. And then if you're running Blood Razor and some axes, it doesn't hurt. You could take out Lich King or Geosculptor and put in Spellstones. It's not bad at all. 7.
See how often I use these.
Yeah, I mean it's a very if you only play one weapon, it's such a terrible card. But a lot of times, if you're playing them on curve like you want to be, and you drop it on 7 and you get 2 5/5s, a lot of the time it's just enough to just wrap it up.
All right, cool. Well, that's the 2 decks. We got one final match. Before that, though, I do want to say, since you can't see it, we've had a few viewers this time around and one chat comment. And I just wanted to chime in. I know I think they're not around anymore. But if you watch this back on YouTube for whatever reason, we're just not used to people being in our chat or watching us yet. So apologize for not promptly responding. We'll get there. Let's I think you're just gonna whoop my butt this time, but let's do it.
Let me see how bright this gets. Oh.
Really bright.
That's okay, right?
Yeah, it's not bad.
Okay.
A little washed out, but not bad. Yeah, I think you're just gonna wreck me. That's my prediction for this.
I feel like I've done a lot more testing on my deck.
You have. Like I said, I've been sick 2 separate times last week and this week. Like I was sick, got better, and then got sick and got better again. Started a new medication, trying to buy a house. It's busy for me, but
it sounds like it. You said medication. My first thought was new meta. What?
Yeah.
Is a medication a meta vacation? A vacation from the meta?
Sure.
Okay, so let me remember what you have in your deck.
So, but I I think all things considered, though, like I do enjoy the deck that I have, and I did want to say this, and I forgot to. Like, this is not a style of warrior that I usually play, so I'm not very good at it yet. I always do like taunt warrior, super armor warrior, so I just happened to get the Death Knight, and I wanted to play with it, so this is a learning process for me too.
Yeah, I don't play warrior. This is the first meta I've ever done it. I've got, I think, 150 ranked wins, which is really low for me.
Yeah, I think you're just going to be able to rush and warpath my guys until they're dead, and then I won't get any value.
It's kind of tricky, though, because I'm playing against somebody who also benefits from the same things that I benefit from.
Let the pain speak to me.
Yeah, but you do stuff like that. And I'm
I
like,
just got I had the coin. You got that card. It's in your deck.
You're just gonna. Ugh. I got no good options here.
So
Start-
many choices.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I think
If you're sure.
you're still gonna get it though. Like trying to keep you from getting 3 draws off this thing, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
Hope not.
My blade be thirsty.
Oh, shh.
It's weird to me because I've never played a typical warrior deck, and when I play on curve, this plays so much like a typical warrior deck. Like with the frothing and the acolyte.
Strike.
Okay. Don't you do it. Don't you do it.
What do I want to do? I don't know.
Don't do it.
I might. I don't know. Oh, that wasn't what I wanted to do. Oh well. That'll work. Oh, I did this in such a terrible order. Forgive me.
Good. I'm not the only one. Oh man. There we go.
Let the pain speak to me.
Defend the gates.
Oh, get out of here with that mess.
Like I said, really good card.
Yes.
Strike.
I thought you're the one that's supposed to be getting a bunch of armor.
You played 2 armor smiths. I'm not worried about your early game armor. Worried about the late game armor.
Yeah. I think you I think you got me, like for sure.
I don't know, man. I'm a little worried about some things you could do.
Let the pain speak to me. Out of my
I gotta keep my eyes open for that brawl and whatnot.
ready to flee.
Oh yeah! Get flinging.
Man, it's such a waste. Oh well.
I got flung on.
Good old dwarf.
Defend the gates.
None of these options are good.
My blade be thirsty.
Yeah, you've managed to deny like the majority of my card draw, while I haven't been able to do anything really about your acolytes. So I think that's gonna win you the game for sure.
What now?
Flying. I need to start getting some pressure on the board.
My blade be thirsty.
Yeah, this deck does horrible if I'm top decking. So
Okay.
What now? Some still
Your magic shall not save me.
oh, what choice do I have?
I strike. Warriors of the frozen wastes, rise.
GG.
Oh, you still have all that armor. I worked my way through
It
it.
doesn't matter though. I don't think anything can get me back in the game here. Except maybe
Brawl
Brawl,
would be a good
but
start.
Brawl's about the only thing. Maybe Crush.
Armor made to
Man.
fit.
Poked myself in the eye earlier. Now it just feels like I got an eyelash in there or something. It's quite annoying.
Oh man, I hate that. I think I scratched my eye while I was chainsawing, and now I've got a floater in my eye. Really annoying.
You will just get those as you get older. Oh man. GG. Boom.
I'm gonna be like that other guy and start hacking over it.
Over and over.
Yeah. Gotta do the honors with Frostmourne, you real man.
play.
I think that was by far the most polarized matchup we've had at the end of the showcase so far.
So far. I'm sure there will be some weeks where I get it, some where you do. But
All right. Well, that was the deck versus deck portion of the show. We need to pick the next class. And I had a discussion topic for the end, but we've talked a lot during the news, so I think I'll save it for next time. So it's my turn to pick, and I'm going to go ahead and pick Druid. And the reason I'm picking Druid is I already have a deck. So if we can also pick the following week, that'll give me 2 weeks to work on the next deck, which would be greatly appreciated on my part, considering how busy I am, because I still am trying to figure out this mortgage. So.
Well, we can postpone the next show if you want a week.
No, it's good. It's not that I can't do the show. It's that, leading up to the show, I don't have a lot of time to work on the deck. So I picked Druid. It's a deck. I've got it. It's a fun mill deck. I've already refined it and everything, so it is good to go. So we'll do Druid next week, and then if you want to pick the class for the following week, like I said, that'll give me 2 weeks to work on it. By then, the mortgage should be all figured out and everything, so I'll be back on schedule.
Let's see, we did Priest, Hunter,
Warrior, Druid.
And
I think at this point, the meta is fairly, like we can do anything now, right? So.
Let's do Rogue.
All right. So we'll do Druid next week. Follow that with Rogue. Like I said, I had a discussion topic for the end because we usually do one, but we talked enough during the news this time around. So if you're tuning in on YouTube, thank you. Check us out on Twitch every Friday. Right now the time is kind of sporadic, but usually in the afternoon is when we do our streams. We kind of fit it into where it works with both of our schedules. And you'll be able to find timestamps down below, which I'm sure you did if you're at the end of this video. And also, we do post the deck lists. We put them up on Hearthstone top decks. You can search for us at Smart Moves. Sometimes I'm a little bit behind on getting the deck list up, but they will eventually be there. And you can also just see them on screen as well throughout the show. So with that. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on Friday. Peace.